Okay. Just reading Twitter. This is the Forbes 30 under 30 tweet.
Exactly. Okay, so I got that. Let's see. I'm gonna send out a tweet right now as well with the link.
That's a live stream.
Yeah, it's gonna be live, and then I'm gonna cut it up. I'm gonna cut it up later. I just went live right now.
Oh man, my hair.
So we are live. It'll be perfect. Okay, so I sent you the Twitter DMs as well. I'm gonna tag you in this. Let's see. Okay, you got that. Perfect. All right, so we made the tweet there. Let me just send that to. We got that. Let's see here. And let's see here. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're good to go now. Okay, so that's looking good. All right, so I guess your turn first. There, no, okay. All right, so I will do. I guess it's my turn first, but I'll do a little intro first. So I guess welcome everyone that's now turning in. I think we have a couple viewers. We have a couple live viewers, which is awesome. But I wanted to give a quick intro. For the second episode here, we have Ryan, who is a game economist over at Delphi Labs, an arm of Delphi Digital, which is a research and venture firm. Currently out of Singapore right now. That's the quick background. We got Ryan here. Any other thing you want to touch on Ryan, on your background as well, or what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm game economist at Delphi Labs, but also spend some time, with Delphi Ventures, looking at some of the games deals that come in.
Yep.
And yeah, play and earn. That's all I have to say, man.
It's too fun. A lot of stuff going on in that space right now, so I'm excited to get into it. So I will start off. I'll move here. Let's see. I'm still. I lost to Brett Harrison last week. He's pretty good. I think I'm still 1 for 11. So I mean, we're getting somewhere. We're trying. First question though, what do you really think of the state of crypto right now? We'll start off with a simple question.
Wow, that's a polarizing one.
I know, huh?
So the state of crypto, I can't speak for the state of crypto, but I would say I think just speaking about the general kind of landscape, I think we've really developed a lot from 2018 and 2019. I feel like the sort of conversations that I'm having with people tend to be a lot more about technology, very earnest, right? So desire for people to kind of build and sort of discover what can be done, rather than how we can make 6 million in a week or something.
Of course.
I think the conversations have really shifted since 3 or 4 years ago.
Absolutely. Now, let's see here. I know you're focused on moving. We got a couple viewers here. This is awesome. Last time I think we got to, I want to say max 10 live, and then we've done a bunch of different views on some of the shorter clips that we've cut up and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a great week so far on the first one. I was really happy with how it kind of went. I think ultimately, what I'll just say on this is for the format. I think I do need kind of a co-host, because I think there's sometimes that we'll see in the next 10 to 15 minutes where there's a little bit of dead space and we're trying to move and stuff like that, and almost need the conversation to keep going. Yeah, that is something. Okay, so obviously you're out of Singapore right now. What do you think of the Singapore crypto scene? Is it vibrant? Is it dead? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's actually absolutely vibrant, and I think it always has kind of had the kind of vibrancy. Yeah, so I think Singapore is one of the few countries in the world who kind of is taking more of a sandbox type approach towards cryptocurrency. And I think it's always kind of been leery of the scammy stuff, right? But then so there's this balance of regulation and being pretty clear about what can and cannot be done, right?
Yep.
And there's also real kind of support in the government side of things.
Absolutely.
There's awareness, right? So, for example, even some of the big government agencies like NASIC and such, they have blockchain teams, right? This ecosystem of blockchain, affiliated companies, as well as startups that are set up here.
Yep.
Fun fact: ENS has an office in Singapore.
Awesome.
It's registered in Singapore, okay? and so is Three Arrows Capital, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which is yeah.
Yeah,
This is
they've been doing a lot of great stuff out of Singapore. So let's see here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of comments. A couple people saying, "Wow, this is
Whoa.
actually chess." I don't think they actually expected us to be playing chess while
Yeah.
while chatting.
Yeah, and I dropped the piece already, so.
We're down. I mean, maybe I'll get a win here finally, right? Um,
Yeah. Now I gotta be in focusing.
yeah. All right, so let's. Here's another question. How'd you first get into crypto?
Yeah, I really started. I started as a student, right, in college, and one of my seniors from college, basically one of the upperclassmen, right, really was, working with the Ethereum Foundation, and they were sharing a bit about like some of the things they were doing, the things they were learning. I remember one of the really memorable evenings where they were outside, and I was outside joining them, and listening to them talk about like mempools or something. I was like, what's going on here? I have no idea what all these words are, right? So I think that was interesting. The second part was like was interested in like game theory and economics from a younger age. So around like 18, 17, I began kind of did a survey course in game theory in high school, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. Remember the sort of conversation was around like Golden Ball. So it's like for this TV show, you can do like a split or steal. It's like a simple kind of game theoretic game, right? Where like you have ability to either split or steal, so you make a decision, and then you're basically coordinating with the other person, right? So I thought that was really interesting. Some of the stuff we covered, and beyond like the sort of standard prisoners dilemma, kind of like entry level stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. That was my first classes taken in college, and when the blockchain came up, it was like a good opportunity to marry both these things. Yeah. So I did CS in college. And then from there, I just got shepherded to going to a bunch of hackathons, right?
Yeah.
So I go build stuff in hackathons, so ETH Singapore, ETH Paris. And then I think from there, took up roles in VCs, took up roles with AMMs, and now
we're here.
at Delphi.
Yeah.
And now we're here. Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how I got in. And I'm curious, how did you get blockchain?
It's really interesting. In I think it was like 2014-ish. Is it my turn? Oh yeah, I guess it is, huh? Or
It is your turn.
yeah, it is my turn, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't even.
Man. OG.
Yeah. So, well, actually, there's a little bit of story behind it. I got to figure out where I want to move here.
You make the move first, then
Yeah,
no
let's
worries.
see. I know.
So dead space.
We got a little time here.
No pressure though, no pressure.
Seriously. Let's see. I'm just gonna move. I think I'm just gonna go for it here. Let's just do it. Let's get a little aggressive. So in 2014, at the time I was, I think, junior, senior in high school, and at that time, like I think, like many other young men, they really want to like day trade, and so I had this very open mind of wanting to follow basically back then the TikTok traders of the time, right? It was mostly on YouTube and Instagram and like those kind of people. I really wanted to follow those kind of people and become a day trader, right? And so your mind is like like in that stage you just kind of, most people, right, they follow whoever they feel it has some sort of relevance, and they give more relevance to people that obviously have more following, etc. And there was this guy, I don't even really remember his name, but he was on YouTube and he was trading day trading S&P e-money futures or something. I don't even know what it is. And I never even understood what he was really doing, but for some reason I followed the guy. And like for basically from 2014 to 2015, he basically said Bitcoin was a scam, and it was and I just believed him. Like I literally just believed him, and like because at that age, like I was saying, like I don't know, I gave him more relevance than I ever should have, and I should have questioned it more, should have questioned myself really in that thought process, but didn't. Then basically 2015 happens, and he like totally flips, and he's like, it's no longer a scam, I'm trading it, here's how to get like all this different. I'm like, wait a minute, you just been saying for the past year it's a scam. And so that was really my first foray, kind of as I graduated high school, started learning more and more about it, and yeah, that's how I really got into it. Interesting.
High school.
Yeah.
The dream of every young high schooler to become a day trader.
Right. I mean, that's the thing though, is like, you see it a lot and you even have TikTok investors. I don't know if you follow that page on Twitter. I love that Twitter page, but it's just all these, these crazy TikToks of, people like, oh, if you invest, $5 in sheep and it goes to $1, you're a billionaire. You know what I mean? Like, it's so those type of things that are just hilarious, but do well on TikTok, and like people that don't really know, tokenomics and market caps and all that type of stuff, they love that stuff. They eat it up. So it's hilarious,
Yeah.
but yeah, that happens.
SOS just goes to $1, man. I'm telling you.
Exactly.
It just goes- I'm a millionaire, man.
It's just it's hilarious. I mean, I look back on it and it was a great time, but I learned a lot. Like there's one book that I read like probably 2 or 3 years after that it's called Future Babel by I think Dan something, I don't know. It's a great book, but ultimately the thesis or really the theme is that expert predictions, which he takes like into account, I think 21,000 or something from oil traders to climate scientists, etc., really are no better at predicting the future than dart throwing monkeys. And so it really teaches you to, or really gives you the thought process of like you really need to question, everything you really see. And I think as you get older, you usually tend to do that, or sometimes not. You usually go the opposite direction, like you see maybe in a lot of AMC ape spaces. The AMC apes.
No, say less, my friend.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see
All
here.
right, man. It's your move. It's your move, man.
Still moving?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's interesting you're saying, because I mean, with regards to the expert predictions and such, everyone kind of feels. Everyone kind of feels like they got like they got knowledge, they got the skill to kind of predict and sort of know better, right? And
Yep.
then even those that kind of like spend the most time, like basically the whole job on it, like feel like they know better. I think the sort of maturing in investment process is kind of like saying like, hey, I probably don't know better, right? And I think as long as I kind of trust that.
Oh shit.
I probably don't know better, and as long as I kind of trust that, the general industry is going to trend towards somewhere,
Yeah.
it's probably better for me to do that than to get wrecked on like trading like 10x long on FTX or something.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's probably, or like aping into random kind of coins.
Yep.
So that in itself is like
It's a whole
probably-
process.
yeah, you kind of have to learn that over time. I think
It's
like,
needed.
You're not, yeah.
It really is.
No one will listen to you when you say it, but yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting a couple
It's-
comments, a couple people flaming us for our moves, saying we're doing horrible moves. That's what happened. That's what happened last time as well.
I made one horrible blunder. I mean, you guys try. Why don't you guys try?
No, I know it's difficult while you're having a
You
great
guys try.
conversation. And also I'll just say for the people watching live as well, you guys can ask questions. I have questions here, but if there's an interesting question, I'll ask it from the audience. But we'll move on to our next question here. I know it's my move. I gotta make a decision here. I put myself in an interesting spot, but let's see here. So I've been asking a couple different guests. Some obviously on this, I guess, will be on the spot eventually, or already have. So I feel like 2020 was really the year of DeFi. 2021 really the year of NFTs, or you could argue even layer ones as well. What do you really see as the year of 2022 as? And actually, let me just for the clips, let me restate that question. All right, so 2020 was the year of DeFi. 2021 the year of NFTs or layer ones. What, in your opinion, do you see the year of 2022 as?
Well, you're asking a guy who bet his entire career on gaming, so I might have a biased answer.
Yeah.
Nah, well, like I personally think like gaming and play to earn and play and earn, like it really started in May with Axie Infinity, May, June, and obviously Axie was kind of doing great stuff before then, but then like Ronin was a big unlock, and I think the entire sort of like ecosystem around guilds, I don't think anyone could have predicted how large we would have gotten, right?
Yeah.
Like, except maybe Delphi, those guys kind of know some stuff, right? But I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Right, but with regards to 2022, I really think that gaming is gonna sort of drive a lot of that value, right? We're gonna see like sort of chains like sort of technology like Starknet, on-chain gaming, like it was really interesting to sort of like play out, right?
Yep.
So, and we're gonna see more and more, as the title of the talk suggests, GameFi. We're gonna see a lot more, high quality. When I say high quality, I mean like sort of the quality that we are used to in gaming, right? More of that's gonna show up.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's some of my projections there. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So 2022, the year of like play to earn and play and earn.
Yep.
Yeah. But then maybe afterwards on-chain gaming. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, my next question will be, and this is, I think, really for. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I've made some. Actually, no, I'm good.
No, you're pretty good here. You're ultimately pretty good. I'm doing. We're trying.
You're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so my next question is, and you can take your time with this one. I'm like trying to do it, to get obviously more people to eventually watch it. I'm trying to like, do the questions correctly so we can clip. It's just, this whole, but you can take your time. Obviously, I'll clip it. But the next question is maybe for people that don't know, what is GameFi?
Yeah. So GameFi is an interesting term because like, how do you kind of like people can just kind of use it, right? I like to think of two separate. I like to like cleave it into two ideas here.
Yep.
Right. And I think precision is really important, right? And definitions are really important so that kind of people on the same page when you say words. Okay. So importance of words. I think it releases two separate trends which I'm gonna split up into. Financialization of games, right? So games as yield farming products, right? That's one aspect of GameFi, so-called GameFi, right? And if you think about games as yield farming products, there's gonna be, this idea that like you can have a capital outlay, right? It's all in the language of finance, right? So you have like a capital outlay, like let's say you put out 1 ETH, and then you have an expected return or yield on your capital.
Mm-hmm.
So like the 1 ETH, I expect it, based on certain actions I can self-perform, right? I expect it to kind of, increase 50% in a year. So anytime you kind of can attach an APY, any percentage yield, or you can have a, expected yield from, partaking in the game system, that's like a financialized game, right? So I like to, and then, guilds, for example, are infrastructure that rely on the financialization of games. So that's one trend in GameFi. The second trend, I think, is something that increasingly seeing more of is, I call it games. Well, I call it that's what I just call GameFi, right? But games. So it's the difference between financialization of games and GameFi. So the way I think of GameFi is games like poker. Poker is like GameFi, right? The idea is that like you can enter in the same sort of capital outlay. You can have 1 ETH, and based on your intimate knowledge of game subsystems and other players, right? So it's almost like a game theory element here.
Yep.
Based on your knowledge of the markets and other players and such, you can kind of have come out with a hit with other players.
Yep.
Right. So it's because you know the game. It's because you know the most efficient way to spend resources in the game, and these games can be incredibly complex and incredibly difficult for you to kind of come up a hit unless you really like spend all your time learning and knowing the thing.
Oh yeah.
As compared to like financialized games where you kind of show up and you just get rewarded.
Some items, yeah.
Because you stake some sort of money and such, right? Yeah. So I think that's the definition for GameFi. Like, games is poker, and you see that games is sports as well.
Yeah.
I think all come under this like umbrella term. But yeah, I think the definition we kind of want to sort of split apart here, sort of like deep into financialized games and GameFi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great definition. All right, so let's see here. My move here. We'll go there.
Okay. Excuse me.
Okay, excuse you.
This is a tough one.
I know.
I think I'm doing good.
No, definitely. I think so as well. All right, so my next question is, let's see here. Okay, wow. Give me another. Because I kind of have to, huh? My next question is, what are your, let's see here. No, let's ask that question. What are your top 3 play to earn games right now?
That's me. A lot of the games, I think. So there's 2 kind of categories of games here, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about like play to earn games. I think one are projects that are not playable yet, right? But find sort of intense amount of promise in that. And I think it's just a function of timing, right? One thing is it takes time to build games.
Yep.
It takes time to build any kind of product, right? However, with games, it's not as simple as kind of building like a. I'm not saying building tech products is simple; it's still hard, right? But like it's sort of like a increase in, almost like exponential increase in difficulty, because you're not just putting together like the software side of things or like the UX side of things. You're also putting together like sort of the entire player experience, in terms of like lore, storytelling, art, music, everything, right? You're gonna kind of go for like a full game system. So I think there's gonna be there have been a ton of games that have started ever since kind of like XE Infinity hit a new cycle, like sort of exploded the new cycle in June, right? But those games, because they take time to make, they're not playable, right? So that's one category of games, and there's a lot of games that I'm really really excited about, right? And then 2, they're like some currently playable or like interactable systems, like game systems that you can sort of engage with and even invest in, all these kind of things, right? So this is the second, right? Even second category is playable, and third category I think is just purely like public market investable, right? Which is like coins you can ape into, NFTs you can buy and so on, but not in playable state. So I think those kind of the 3 like categories. So the first category, a lot of it is kind of like private. A lot of them are stealth. A lot of them are like raising more in secret.
Yeah.
And then the others who kind of take a more public approach, where they kind of build up the community first before having the game. So it's an investable opportunity. So
Yep.
I think so there's these 3 categories, and I think you can dive into either one of them as per you find the most interesting. Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm personally most excited about the private ones that are still in building, right? So in the building phase, and sort of trying to figure out like what's the right way to. Speaking of what's the right way, I think I've given away some pieces here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe I should have taken it tonight instead. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, we're getting a bunch of people kind of join, a couple people leaving, but we're still getting some great viewers. So yeah, anyone watching right now, you have any questions, throw it out there, especially on the last stuff he just discussed. I'm sure there's a couple questions on some of that stuff. I'll let you move here, and we'll see. Okay, so
doesn't feel good, man. Doesn't feel good.
Let's see here. All right, let's see here now. No questions from the audience yet, so we will keep moving then. We'll keep moving with some of these questions. That's totally fine. My next question here is.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's okay.
This is a good, interesting question. I know we talked about it on our last, our impromptu chess and chat off cam. But why are people buying land? Or I'm sorry, let me restate that. Why are people buying digital land for $2 million?
Yeah. Why do people buy digital land for $2 million?
Right. Or a digital yacht for, what is it, like 600 or 60? I forget.
Okay. I'm gonna have to try and figure out this move first. But I think
Yeah, take your time.
You can kind of begin. You can kind of begin the answer to the question. But I think that's well framed because kind of get to talk about like what are the psychological drivers behind some people buying these things, right? The way in which like the metaphor of land and how it kind of like functions, right? To raise, and then like talk a bit about why devs do it in the first place.
Yeah.
So sell land, and then some of the challenges they might face by selling land. Yeah. So, but first I need to make a move that doesn't, like
change the
continue
game.
to drop pieces like a fool.
Oh
my!
shoot!
I look so bad at chess.
This is interesting.
Yeah. I think it's really a good move. Yeah.
Maybe an in-between question as well. Are you also ranked? I've been getting a lot of that question back to me. I'm not even ranked, and I don't even know how that whole ranking system works. So if I was, I'm probably very poorly ranked.
Yeah, I'm not gonna talk my rank any longer after playing this horrendous game.
Okay.
I'm not gonna mention it. Yeah.
But that's just so people know, right?
It's
a rank that you're given when you play on chess.com, I'm guessing, right? Or after playing a couple people or something like that.
Yeah, any kind of site, but it's also in the real world. They have this thing called ELO.
Okay.
It's like your sort of a score. Fun fact, they kind of use that ranking system also in games like Dota 2.
Yep.
And
League.
And, StarCraft. Yeah, League.
Yeah.
Right. They use kind of modified MMR systems.
Yep.
Right? But all kind of starts from chess, even in the analog era.
Yep.
Yeah. This is really bad. Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah, so we're talking about right before we were talking about
why people are purchasing digital land.
Why people buy land. Yeah. Okay. So the short answer is I'm gonna practice being concise here. Yeah. So short answer is land is a metaphor that is intimately tied to ourselves over like millennia, right? Like you like sort of physical space, where you can call your own, right? And I think the idea of land is still very kind of strong.
Yeah.
In people's minds, right? Second is with regards to like investment opportunity, land is kind of like what real estate, land, like that's kind of a metaphor, kind of like story that is told to a lot of these folks. A lot of people grew up and their only wish is kind of to have like a home, right, their own home, and having it,
the American
be
dream.
this kind of opportunity, to own your own place is the dream, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are seduced by that. And the third sort of idea is that I've been seeing like advertisements which say like buying land in the metaverse in 2021. It's a similar kind of investment opportunity to buying land in New York in 1821, right? So that's kind of a third reason, like speculation, right? Sort of like hope that eventually like it will function similarly to real world land.
Yep.
Where like people want to kind of hang around New York and you're on High Street, or High Street's not New York, but like 6th Avenue or something, right? Or like Broadway. So you're on Broadway and then you own like a piece of land there. And suddenly you're like a baron and you can have yachts and in the real world and all these things, right? Because value flows between the real world and the metaverse. And if you think people are gonna sort of spend more time in the metaverse, it kind of feels like a reasonable bet, right? A reasonable kind of like, hey, I can get exposure to this. So I think some of the challenges here, like for a lot of like developers and investors who buy lots of land, right, is that one thing is that there's no kind of reason for land to exist, like to be scarce and exist like that in the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
So in the real world there's kind of like a physical constraint on like where and how that land functions, right? So there's a bit of drilling going on in the background. right? So in the physical world, there's kind of a limitation, right? You can only have so much land, right? And the productive capacity of the land, the productive capacity of the world is kind of limited by the amount of land. But in the metaverse, unless you kind of like build a very closed system, like for example in a game world, you don't really want to limit sort of human creativity. At least I don't necessarily think so, right? So like sort of metaverse type worlds where you can kind of go in and you can build experiences on land and such. Seem to me a bit, like a bit putting the cart before the horse, so to speak, right? If you're sort of selling like property before like content and such is built on that property, then there's kind of a tough one. So that's one type of land. So I think it's also important to recognize that land is kind of this undifferentiated concept. And then again, we bring sort of clarity and light to things by introducing categories and differentiating the types of land that can exist.
Of course.
Right. So there's I don't have a term for this now. It's probably a better one, right? I call it like creative land. Right? So you can think of it almost as like, and all this is scarce, right? But yeah, so creative land is like, the land in which you can put things on. You can put like an experience like a game on a piece of land in like a place like Sandbox or in a place like Decentraland, right? Or Crypto Voxels. So if you own land in those worlds, you can put the experience there, and you can monetize those experiences, and hopefully that yield comes from that, right?
Yep.
So there's some sort of like long-term value proposition there with creative land. And there is a financialized land, which I think is a different kind of thing, right? So if you talk about like within game systems now, like I'm talking moving away from the metaverse ideas of like Sandbox and Decentraland, you have financialized land in games, right? So an example would be like let's say in World of Warcraft, if I could buy like a city, if I could buy like Orgrimmar or like a portion of Orgrimmar, that's also considered land, right?
Yeah.
But then now if I'm buying Orgrimmar and maybe the mechanics might be like, whenever someone spends gold at a vendor, I get a percentage of that gold. So now that's a sort of form of yield as well. Again, it's a financialization of games kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Where you sort of have land contributing some sort of resource to you. It could be like a resource like the mine, for example, or a lumber camp, right, in a game. But yeah, that's also sort of classed as land, but it functions very differently from creative land, so to speak, right? And the third is like social land, right? So social land is like buying space for your guild to hang out, or like a house in a game like Final Fantasy or Ultima Online. So I think like being able to kind of provide definitions to land rather than being like, hey, here's a land sale, I think is pretty kind of important to really begin to sort of break down this phenomenon of land, right? So I think sort of taking these like different lenses to how we sort of look at land as a concept is probably a helpful place to start.
Absolutely.
Yeah, anyway, back to the pressing issue, which is the chess game.
Let's see here. All right.
Right. I'm still up.
Yep. This is interesting.
I made too many mistakes, man.
I mean, obviously, the best thing about chess, though, is you make a bunch of mistakes. You really only need one move, and you can bring the game back.
Yeah. Oh, your enemy only really needs one. Make one mistake. Well, the enemy opponent. Yeah.
Yep.
Opponent. We're all friends, yeah.
Or are we? Right.
they say they say I think in crypto like the closest window.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, they say, even if all our coins go to zero, like, and NFTs can come worth absolutely nothing. Like, at least the biggest alpha friends you make along the way, right?
Yeah.
So like people you're gonna get to chill and play chess and hang out with, and
Yeah, I think I put out a tweet. I think it was yesterday or something. I think it was like, what if like the best alpha wasn't the friends you made along the way, but the $1 million airdrops you missed? Like something like that.
That's a good one. Yeah, classic. Is that on Gigabit or is that like on your private?
No, just on my personal. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, maybe you can share a bit more about Gigabit, man. Like, so what you guys are up to? Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, can learn a bit more about what you guys are working on.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out my move here too. I guess I can't do that. I know, I see what you're doing there though. Damn. I think it doesn't make any sense to do or that stuff. I'm just gonna move that there. So yeah, Gigabit. I was, the short story behind it was I was approached a couple months ago for Gigabit. That wasn't the name at the time, but for another basically fund that was really going to be focused more so on crypto and no code. I don't really have any expertise in no code. More of my connections and really expertise is more so in crypto, but my partner at the time had the expertise and the connections in that space, and so that's where we were really going to focus. I won't go into really what happened or the person, just because I don't think it's productive. But it ended up not really working out, and so I had to really make a decision from there on really what I wanted to do, if I still felt comfortable moving forward with the fund, etc. And ultimately I did. And so right now I'm really in that process of doing a lot of the admin stuff, making sure that many of the LPs that I had talked to are still really on board with where I'm going, wanting to still continue to stay on board, all that kind of stuff. And so, and then with that as well, I decided really over the next couple months, or actually really basically 4 to 5 months, I'm going to basically be doing a road trip / road show, going to different cities basically over the next 4 to 5 months, meeting different founders across the US. I just feel like it was a moment where I had thought about it and it was almost like a why not. Everything is so remote now. The majority of people I'm really meeting in terms of founders and LPs are really remote as well, unfortunately and fortunately. And so, yeah, I'm going to be going over the next 4 to 5 months. I'm going to be going to Dallas in a couple days. I'm really excited to finally be out of the cold. It's been cold for the past week here. I'm ready to get back to some more weather. Then Houston, then Nashville, and then I think Miami and New York. And then by that time, once that kind of is wrapped up, the fund should be closed by then as well. And I think I'll have figured out where I really want to set up a home base. Cool. And so yeah, that's what I really decided, and that's what Gigabit's doing and going through right now. So that's where I'm at.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It sounds like you've got quite a journey ahead of you then, like entire road traveling,
it really
founders in different cities. Yeah. So what's the timeline like that look for that look like for you? Right, regards to hitting ground to Dallas and such.
Yeah. So basically, in a couple days, basically I think Friday, I will be in Dallas, and Friday is basically a full month I'll have spent in San Francisco. Absolutely love to hear. It's just been raining for the past week, and I feel like I have cabin fever. I've been really stuck inside for the past week or so. So yeah, I'll spend a whole month there, so basically till the end of January. Then from there, I'm going to Houston, just a bus trip away. Then from there, it'll be a full month in Houston, and then after that, I'm going to Nashville, another full month, and then basically the same thing with Miami and New York. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't been to really Dallas or Houston or Nashville really, so it's gonna be a great experience. In Dallas, I have a couple friends there, so I'll be back with more so people I know and have known for a while, and so that's where I'm gonna be. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That's awesome, man. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
I think one of the advice I heard when sort of traveling around, and I'll let you make a move. But some of the advice I heard from traveling around, since you're spending a month in each place, you can almost spend time curating a Spotify playlist. It's gonna remind you of your time there, and you kind of listen to that.
Yep.
You can listen to albums and such for each kind of city. Yeah. think that's a sort of a nice little thing on the side, not related to crypto, because we have real lives and stuff, right? But we're doing things in the real world too.
Oh yeah,
That's cool.
100%.
Yeah. So New York looks like it's gonna be like May or
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it should be. I think I actually might spend, just because of the situation. I think I'm actually going to stay at my friend's former place, and so there's a little more flexibility instead of doing like Airbnbs for a month. And so he, might be able to stay there for 2 months, and then that'll kind of line up as well. If that does happen, I'll be in Miami during the Bitcoin conference. So that'd be cool too. I just started reaching out to a couple people that might be there for that. So it should line up really well with a couple conferences.
Sweet.
Let's see here. All right, so I moved here. I guess your turn.
Yeah.
Let's see, another question here. Anyway, we still have viewers here. If you guys have any questions, just drop it in the chat. We'll ask them. So let's see here. Here's another question. What makes you really so excited about P2E games, play to earn?
Yeah. Yeah. With regards to, I think to answer that question, you really have to kind of understand the history of game monetization thus far, right? And then the core thesis here about why play to earn is kind of exciting is that I think if you believe that monetization affects the type of games that are built, right? So the way the incentives are set up for the devs, are completely related to the way in which the game monetizes, right?
Yeah.
How does the game make money for investors? How does the game make money for devs, right? Then, based on that, devs are going to create experiences that monetize in their fashion, right? And, the way you should monetize affects the ultimate game that you create, the gameplay experience you create. So I think it's that sort of critical impact here, right? Like, thinking about the way in which you make money off your game,
Yeah.
or like, sort of keep a game sustainable, right? So I think the interesting thing about play to earn is it's a paradigm shift on the level of like, and I like to sort of classify monetization of games into 4 really big, sweeps. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's kind of like, this is generalization, right? But starting with kind of coin operated games. So if you head into an arcade and you put in like 25 cents a quarter, or in Singapore you put in $1, right? Because currency exchange and such.
Yep.
But you put in cash into these arcade machines and you play like these skill-based games. And what you ended up with for these games, they kind of, were built so that each quarter on average gave you about 2 or 3 minutes of gameplay time, right? And so like, but the thing is, if you're really skilled at the game, you can play for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't see differentiation in sort of like characters and such, right?
Yep.
You just be sort of come to the game to feel more skilled at the game, right? So you're very, very clear kind of link between your skill and your sort of like success and even your gameplay time, right? So that led to certain type of games being built. Then you
Yep.
have premium games, right? So you pay $60 out the box, out the gate, and you get like a game in a box, right? A game like StarCraft. You have subscription games on top of that, so like World of Warcraft, for example. Even that subscription model leads to a different kind of gameplay experience where
Yep.
you have like you're aiming to have players stay in for a long, long period of time, right? Then you have free to play, where it's like when I talk about free to play, I mean mobile free to play. So these games you can download them for free, but the incentive for a dev is to create a game that is, retaining well, right? But at the same time, also the only way to monetize in those games typically would be through in-app purchases.
Yeah.
So you're sort of selling power, or you're selling some cosmetics, right? Or advertisements, right? So you're sort of selling advertisements or like showing advertisements in between game breaks and such, right? And all of these kind of feel, just don't feel like the incentives completely align, for the game's growth and the game's success, right?
Yep.
I think play to earn is kind of the first time where you can kind of have a whole new set of games come about, right? And where the incentives align for every single party, or at least like theoretically every single party in the equation, right?
Yeah.
Where like devs, players, and investors all are kind of on the same page for what kind of games will be successful. And the games you kind of see will be like community oriented, right? So that's all built around the community. You see sort of redistribution of like some of the value that's created in game by the players to
Yeah.
the players themselves. As I think some of the core components of play to earn, and we dive in a bit deeper into that. I think, but first we gotta finish up this game. Hey.
Oh yeah, I know. I know. Let's see. I think. Yeah. Let's see there. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we got a bunch of viewers throughout here. This has been a great game so far. Great conversation. Let's see. I want to go there. Let's see.
The dead space is for thinking.
I know, especially towards the end of the game, much needed. I'm glad that we got a couple people that are critiquing our game here. They're saying, "Sir, just castle." I think they're telling me that.
Wait, how come I don't see these comments? Oh yeah, I see it.
You see it?
Sorry, just castle. Nah, it's too late. It's too late, man.
I know. Sorry, sir.
I don't think castling was the move either. Sort of previous move anyway.
Yeah.
As low. Yeah, because then you would just like sort of move into a check situation.
Yep.
And then be forced to kind of trade over either you either lose your bishop or you have to sort of lose your queen. So castling was probably not the move there last though.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think here. Uh-oh. Let's see here. All right, so I do have a next question here actually.
Oh yeah, nice.
Hang
on.
Yeah, take your time here. Oh, interesting.
I've got to play. I've got counterplay.
Yeah. Could see.
So we've got a question on GameFi, or is it on chess?
Oh, it's on GameFi. It's on GameFi.
Oh, cool.
Let's see here. People that don't know. We got that one. Okay. I have my question here.
Oh snap! Am I dead? I think I'm dead.
Is it? I think so, huh? Well.
Yeah.
No, I think you can move. You can move your queen back.
Yeah, but then after that, I
I think it is. Yeah. Dang.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know that.
GM.
Oh sheesh. Yeah, that was a great game. GG's. Well played.
GG.
Yeah,
you're 2 for 11 now.
I know. I'm seriously. I'm getting there. One day we'll be positive. All right, so maybe I'll end it with this question then. What do you think is the most overlooked part of GameFi or play to earn games?
Yeah, I think the most GG. Yeah. The most overlooked part of like play to earn in GameFi is, and I read about this in Metaverses. So just a little plug for Metaverses here, which is like a set of articles I read for free. I don't charge a single cent for it, right? Don't plan to. Maybe in bear market I'll start. but in the latest Metaverses side quest, I think the most underrated thing to kind of explore in these new sort of play to earn games is really spend time understanding the tokenomics and understanding like the incentives, the way value kind of flows within the system, right? I think that's more important than I would say arguably more important at this stage than things like graphics or even things like Twitter followers and even fully diluted value, right? FDV, right? Because all those are kind of memes, all those kind of like can changed and inflated and faked easily and such, right?
Yeah.
But like what doesn't change is kind of like the community belief, animal spirits, so to speak. No, not animal spirits, right? But you know what I mean.
Yep.
Like talking about like I think sort of throwing back to earlier conversation around like future babble, right? Sort of expert predictions failing to kind of showcase that determine or discern what's successful, right? I think
it's just
with regards to like evaluating these games, the only kind of way to go about it is immersion, right? You need to spend all of your time in the system, in the game community, right? You need to like sort of read up on the systems, and you
Yep.
kind of feel like, are you convinced? Would you play this game, right? Are people excited about this game coming to life? And that's, I think, the will of the community, in spite of price crashes, right? So some modeling the scenarios, right? Being like, well, it might crash, price might crash on these things. Maybe the NFTs like don't go so well. What happens, right?
Yeah.
So like sort of similar to crypto, even similar to sort of like larger crypto systems, like how many attacks has Bitcoin or Ethereum undergone, right? How many attempts has happened to kind of like fork Ethereum and kill Ethereum, right? Ethereum kernel narrative, right? Like I think relying on those kind of metrics to kind of understand how sustainable and how solid a play to earn system is going to be, or play to earn economy or community is going to be, right?
Right.
So you hear a lot about like XC killers, but XC still kind of king or queen.
Oh yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's an example. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so then we will close it up. I want to let you make a final comment, though, on maybe anything you want to mention about Delphi Labs or Delphi Digital, if they're hiring to some of the people that are in here or something like that. Anything you want to discuss on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Delphi is hiring across the board. We do institutional grade research. That's one side of Delphi, right? This is our core product. We also work on helping some of the protocols with tokenomics and game economy design. So if you're interested in those topics, we also have positions in labs that specifically target those things, those positions, right? We're looking even across the board. Like if you're interested in working in crypto, if you kind of excited about the work that Delphi is working on, then come through. Venture side, we're also hiring like ventures analysts, technical ventures analysts, and a kind of way to go about that would be to go to our website, delphidigital.io, and scrolling down and clicking on the careers page, and you'll be able to see all of the opportunities available. So even for operations roles as well, we're just scaling across the board. So definitely keen to get everyone involved. Yeah.
Crypto Web3. Perfect.
Yep.
And also, for anyone still watching live as well as eventually playback, you can follow Ryan at 0xrise on Twitter, as well as myself at ChadSGX on Twitter. But this has been Chess and Chat episode 2. A great game. I'm finally winning a little bit. We'll see. I mean, it's an ever-changing thing. But Ryan, I really appreciate you coming on. Have a great day for you. Night, obviously, for me. But GM, GG's well played, and have a great night.
GM, GN, GGWP.
Yeah, and have a great night, everyone that's watching as well. I appreciate everyone watching. This has been another great episode, so I appreciate it. Alrighty.
Yeah.